If you're running a business in Indonesia, you know that feeling, right? The corporate tax deadline is creeping up. But what happens if your financials just aren't ready? Well, today we are going to do a complete, comprehensive walkthrough of the official process for extending your annual corporate tax return, what's known as the SPT, and how to do it the right way.
It's such a common and stressful situation. The SPD deadline is right around the corner, but your financial statements are still a work in progress. Maybe the audit is taking longer than expected, the numbers aren't quite lining up, and you can just feel that pressure building. So what do you do? The great news is you really don't have to panic. There's an official solution designed for this exact problem.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the solution itself. Then we'll dive into the rules of the game, the stuff you absolutely have to know. After that, we'll build out your document checklist. I'll walk you through the online submission step by step. And finally, and this is super important, we'll cover how to make sure your application was actually accepted.
Okay, so what is this magic solution? The first thing to get is that needing more time is totally normal. Indonesia's Directorate General of Taxes, or the DJP, actually has a formal process for this. This isn't some secret workaround. It's an official legal option built to give businesses like yours some much-needed breathing room.
Now, before you even think about starting an application, we've got to talk about the rules. Honestly, getting these right can be the difference between a successful extension and a flat-out rejection. So let's break down the regulations you need to follow.
So here's the big one. You can get a filing extension for a maximum of 2 months. That's a pretty significant buffer, right? It gives you some real, valuable time to get all your financials in order without having to rush and potentially make mistakes.
But of course, there are some key conditions. First, your timing has to be perfect. You have to apply after your fiscal year has ended, but before the original SPT deadline hits. Also, you only get one shot at this, one successful extension per year. Here's a helpful little tip, though. If your first try gets rejected because of a small error, you can actually try again as long as you're still within that deadline window. And for our purposes today, we're focusing on the easy, modern way, submitting it all online.
You know, knowing the rules is half the battle. The other half, it's all about preparation. A really smooth, painless application comes down to having every single document ready to go before you even log in. So let's look at exactly what you'll need.
Okay, this is your essential checklist. You're going to need 2 provisional documents. Think of these as your temporary or draft versions. One is your calculation of the income tax you expect to owe, and the other is your financial statements. Now, if that calculation shows you owe tax, you'll need proof you've already paid that estimated amount. Then there are 2 documents that depend on your situation. If your company's being audited, you need a letter from your accountant confirming the audit isn't done yet. And if a representative is filing for you, a formal power of attorney is an absolute must.
All right, with our documents all gathered and ready, it's time to get practical. We're now going to walk through the exact clicks and steps for submitting your request on the DJP's official core tax portal. This is where all that prep work really pays off.
Step 1 is nice and easy. You, or your designated representative, will just go to the core tax portal and log in with the right user ID and password. This is your main gateway into the whole tax system.
Now, this next step is so important and really easy to miss. After you log in, the system puts you in your personal account. You have to actively switch over to the corporate taxpayer account you're filing for. The system actually calls this impersonating. You can see the option right there in the top corner. This makes sure the application is for the company and not for you personally.
Okay, once you're acting as the company, you'll just navigate through that top menu. The path you're looking for is Layanayan Wajib Pajak, which is Taxpayer Services. Then you'll click Layanan Administrasia for Administrative Services, and finally, Buat Permohonan Layanan Administrasia to create a new request. And that will bring you to the main application page. From here, you'll just fill out all the required fields, you'll clearly state why you need the extension. A good reason is that the company audit isn't done yet, and this is where you will upload the digital copies of all those documents we just talked about.
So you've uploaded everything and you clicked submit. You're done, right? You can kick back and relax? Not quite. The final, and I'd argue the most important, phase is confirmation. You have got to be 100% sure that your request was successfully received and processed. Otherwise, you could be facing penalties.
So you're looking for 2 key pieces of confirmation. First, when you check on the status of your request, you want to see the words kasus ditutup. That basically translates to case closed, which is the system telling you that the task is done. Second, you should check your daftar facilitas, which is your facility register.
Seeing your extension listed right here is the final proof. When you see both of these things, you can rest easy. Your extension is officially logged and approved.
And there you have it. We've literally covered the entire process from A to Z, from understanding the rules and getting your documents ready to navigating the portal and, most critically, confirming it was all successful. You now have a comprehensive guide to manage this whole thing with confidence and skip all that last-minute stress.
So now that you've seen every single step laid out, I'm curious, in the real world, what do you think is the biggest challenge in all of this? Is it getting those provisional financials ready in time? Or is it maybe just navigating the technical side of the government portal? It's definitely something to think about as you get ready for your own filing. Thanks for tuning in.